So let's jump into a demo of Modelshop. I'm going to create a new model called Demo. And when it opens up, what we're looking at is the Modelshop workbench. It starts completely blank, waiting for our logic and data. So let's start by importing a file and talking briefly about our use case. This file that we're going to import is a list of orders. And that's because we are going to pretend that we are a marketing manager for an online retailer. And our goal is to better target promotions that we have been sending to our customers based on who is most likely to respond. Historically, we have been sending promotions to everybody across the board, but we've come to the realization that that is probably not an efficient use of marketing dollars. So how can we better target those based on what we know about our customers? Well, let's start by looking at the file. We have a list of orders with quantities, unit prices, and we also have customer IDs. And you'll notice that we have multiple orders for many of our customers. We have a theory that the more orders a customer has with us, and the more money that they've spent in total across those orders, the more likely they are to respond to our offers. Essentially, the more loyalty they would have to us. And what we would like to do is, number one, test that theory in Modelshop to see if it is actually true. And if it is in fact the case, create a model that can help us make those decisions down the line to better target the people who are most likely to respond to our offers. So in order to do this, we should add a few calculations to the model to get us where we need to be. First, let's add a new calculation to figure out the total spend on each one of these orders. It's a pretty simple calculation, but we'll enter in a new field. We'll call it total spend and give it the calculation of quantity times unit price. You'll see that Modelshop gives hints on all the available fields, and it also gives us instant feedback on what the result of the calculation is. When we save it, now our new total spend calculation has been added to the model for all of our orders. So this gets us part of the way there. But now, how do we both figure out how many orders each customer has submitted, but also the total spend across all of those orders? Additionally, we don't have any information about which customers have responded to our promotions. In fact, we don't have any information about our promotions at all. Let's take care of both of these issues right now. We're going to import some data, but this time from a database. This is coming from Postgres. I'll quickly enter in all of the details of the Postgres server. And once that's done, we can test the connection. Everything looks good. And now I can scroll down and take a look at the various tables. I only care about this customer response table. Click preview, and we can see it's a list of customer IDs and whether they responded or not. About 2,500 items. I load it into Modelshop, and you'll notice that regardless of the fact that it came from a database, it looks the same as our orders that we brought in from a CSV file. Okay, so how can we link our customer responses to our orders so that we can use this data in conjunction with one another? To do so, I'm going to use Modelshop's link wizard. You'll see that Modelshop is actually suggesting the link between orders and customer responses on customer ID. It's doing this by looking at the data itself, not just the headers. I'll click Make Link, and once I've done that, you'll now see that the fields turn blue. This means that our link has been successfully created between our customer response and our orders. And we can see this by popping out data detail and seeing all the information about a customer on the order. This works the other way around as well, where we can see all of the orders that belong to a certain customer. Now that we have all of these connections made, we can easily achieve our goal of figuring out how many orders a certain customer has placed by creating a new field called number of orders. We'll make it an integer, since it's just a count. Then we can say for our orders list, which is all of the orders for a given customer, we can just simply call a size on that, save it to the model, And now we have a new field called number of orders for all of our customers. Additionally, we can have more complex logic, or slightly more complex, by adding a new field called total spend for all orders. This field will be a decimal. We could choose currency, but that's really just formatting. We can say it's an orders list and we can take a look at the total spend, but we can also use built-in functionality to sum across all of these and say, what's the total spend for all of our orders in that orders list? Once we do that, once again, we save, and now we have a new calculation for total spend for all the customers in our list. Now that we have everything in one place, including whether somebody responded, their total number of orders, and their total spend, we can now make a predictor called an analytic in Modelshop to make predictions as to who would be most likely to respond based on the information that we know about them. So we have several analytic types in Modelshop, H2O, Python, and R. I'm going to use H2O. And we have several algorithms available to us for supervised, unsupervised, and even some pre-processing algorithms. This is a supervised task for binomial classification. So I'm going to use a fairly generic algorithm that's a gradient boosting machine. Then I select my training view, and I have all the fields that we were just looking at in our data list. Whether they responded, which is a true or false enumeration. So that's our target, as we mentioned. Then we can choose what we think is predictive, namely the number of orders and the total spend of all orders. We have the option to change various parameters. This comes directly from H2O. The defaults work pretty well normally. So I'll just select train model with our defaults. And in a few seconds, it comes back with our variable importances. So this is how important each one of these variables was to making our predictions. We also get some metrics like our R-squared, our log loss, and then probably most importantly, a confusion matrix showing us how accurate our predictions were. Now let's actually put this to use in our model. We can go back to our data list and once again add a new field. And we want to add a new field that is actually using the predictor that we just trained. So let's say it's a prediction of true. And then we can call the predictor that we just created. It's going to come back with a percentage probability that somebody will respond. So I'm going to make it a percentage. I'll add a little bit of precision. And then I'm going to call model.analytics with the customer response analytic, which is the name that we gave it. Call score me. It handles all my variable creation and things of that nature. And then .true to figure out which ones are true. As soon as we save it, we see that our predictions have now been added to the model. We can now sort and see which items are least likely to respond and most likely to respond. We'll see that the items that we knew responded are often the most likely. However, there are a few items, we just saw one here, that did not respond yet, but is getting a score for being highly likely. Let's see if we can filter down to see only the items that have not responded yet. And then we can add another filter to only include items that have a higher probability of responding. So let's choose anything greater than, let's say, 50%. Now we have a view that consists of only the 255 items that have a higher than 50% probability of responding, but haven't done so yet. So now we could prioritize our marketing efforts towards these people and not waste our money on somebody who has a 1% chance. It would be helpful to persist this view. Let's call it likely responders. And now save it. And we've added now a new view to the model that is the filtered items to the likely responders that we just put into place. We can use this to export a CSV or Excel report. I'll click through it and download that report. However, we can do a lot more with Modelshop than just exporting reports. And this is a big differentiator between Modelshop and other products. For instance, somebody who has used a workflow or a pipeline tool before may be asking, where is the play button in Modelshop? How do I play this analysis that I just created? And the answer is Modelshop doesn't have a play button. And that's because everything in Modelshop happens in real time. As data changes, all the calculations that depend on it will change as well. But let's actually take a look at an example of this. I'm going to switch back over to our customer response list. And let's take special note of customer 0. They have 4 orders with a 3% probability of predicted true and $7 and roughly 50 cents of total orders. If we switch back over to our order list, we can look at all the items that rolled up into those numbers. Now, what we can do is let's change the unit price on one of these orders all the way up to $1,000, a big difference. As soon as we click enter, you'll see that the total spend changes. Similarly, if we go and look at our customer response data, you'll see that now for customer 0, we still have 4 orders, but now the total spend is $3,500.14, and the predicted true is up to 72%. While this may seem like a subtle difference, the ramifications of it are huge, because everything in Modelshop is wrapped in a REST API, meaning you can send in new data and get the results out in real time, empowering subject matter experts to not only create models that do exactly what they want, but also deploy them across the business to make real-time and instantaneous impact to your bottom line. Thank you for following along with this demo of Modelshop. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us at hello@modelshop.com. And if you have any industry-specific questions, we do have some industry-specific models on modelshop.com/model network, or we're happy to walk through any specific use cases with you through a personalized demo. So reach out to us once again at hello@modelshop.com. Thanks a lot.